Hi, how are you? It's awkward talking to a computer screen, but that's kind of the topic of this video. I wanted to talk and think about you as you're standing right here in front of me and we're talking. I was editing the video that I had just uploaded. It's that 5.5 hour video, something like that. Amazing, about explaining Dramatica, and I found that I didn't actually finish all of what I wanted to say. Correct that. I thought I had finished it, and that's why I thought I had finished explaining Dramatica entirely. But when I sat down and I was watching YouTube and I went through funny criticism videos about other people's, independent movies like Birdemic and can't remember a few other ones. That usually gets my fuel going for sparking my mind to think about movies and pointing out issues that commonly come up. It's fodder for brainstorming. Fun way of doing that. So I started jotting down some notes in a little side part of a piece of paper I had near me. One thing I ought to share actually is you may have noticed in my earlier videos when I would show something up on the screen and you notice my handwriting, it's something that a former coworker had mentioned. He mentioned something like, "You seem very artistic," because I don't necessarily write notes all the way across. I tend to, especially when I'm brainstorming, I tend to write little sections here and then little sections here, and then I'll draw lines like arrows and circle things and organize little blocks of text. Actually, that's interesting. The way I phrase it, the way I jot down notes, they're not taking up the whole page. They're like little blocks of text, even though I'm not working on a computer, or I guess I'm thinking graphically, but I'm not writing them in front of a computer. But still, I have that graphic sense where I see a whole layout, and that, I guess, goes along with me using Dramatica because it is very visual and conceptual. So maybe that lets you in a little bit further into the way I think. Anyway, I wanted to talk about my improvements on this channel, the way I perform, generally how I can be able to come across better, because in every day I think people should be improving in their endeavors in their lives. So I thought about Toastmasters. My years in Toastmasters hadn't been that long, but I did learn some things and I did get some experience from it. And I'm no longer in it right now. That's an international organization that encourages public speaking, improving your skills in public speaking, basically. And as with any organization, it also enables you to be able to rise to leadership positions and so forth. It's all public speaking focused anyway. And I was also going through a few YouTube channels, looking at how many views they get. I mean, it's amazing. I have something like, I don't remember, something like 61 total views. Now, that's not just one video that's gotten a view. That's overall my whole channel, all the views I've gotten. While I value you coming to watch me, and if you've seen more than one video on this channel so far, thank you. I really appreciate it. I really value it because I'm trying to grow, and I think for the most part, overall, I'm giving good content, and primarily that's what I want to deliver. But I can't see how I can deliver good content to a wide audience. I can't see how I can grow my audience if I don't have a lot of views. So I went through some videos. I guess I shouldn't check some channels uh, to see how they do. And there's some channels. Well, I'll mention a few. I guess Myra West and Isaac Uncooked and so forth. These are ones that I think are similar in mine in that they uh, they're simply somebody standing in front of a mirror. I mean, standing in front of a camera and talking to you, and it's like it's almost a given that you're supposed to have like 8.1K views or something like that. I don't know whether it's because they've been their channel has existed longer than mine has, but I'm thinking there must be some ways in which I can improve. So I went to my analytics and I went to my YouTube channel. When you create a channel yourself, I'm not talking about as a user, I mean an actual active channel where you're creating content on YouTube. They give you a separate thing called YouTube Studio. Actually, this is informative if nothing else. YouTube Studio, and in addition to enabling you to upload new videos, it gives you statistics in terms of audience, in terms of content, in terms of I can't remember what else, but it gives you statistics like how you've grown or shrunk, the number of subscribers, the number of new subscribers you've gotten. Something that's interesting is the number of views that aren't subscribed. And so that's pretty helpful. When you edit, when you create content, you upload the video. That's pretty easy for me. Judging from that Dramatica video where it was like 5.5 hours. I didn't even plan to have it that long, but I wanted to have it comprehensive. It's like a one-stop shop for learning about Dramatica, and yet I came up with things for part 2, which I want to upload soon, maybe right after this video. So anyway, you upload the content, step 1, and then step 2 is editing it. And you can add in tags, hashtags, and you can name it, you can add in other links and so forth, and it's become pretty developed. YouTube has been around quite a long time, something like 20 years or something, I can't remember, but it surpassed the 5-year toddler mark. So I looked at the tags and I noticed, oh, and there's also a category. Maybe you can give me advice. I haven't been getting that many comments on my videos yet, so that's something I'd like to improve upon. The tags, the hashtags, of course, are keywords that help people when they're searching for videos, like you've probably done. If you're on YouTube, you've certainly... Oh, somebody texted me something. When you're searching for keywords, you can, somebody can, okay, strike that. When someone is looking for keywords and you want them to find your video, you can use hashtags. You can add certain hashtags into a certain video in a certain spot through editing, and that enables it to be easier, not necessarily super easy, but easier for people to find your video if they're just searching for content. So I found that I had, if you hear that dinging, which you probably are, it's just poor timing in that I'm doing this video, and of course I don't have a pet or something to crawl on my lap or to make weird noises. No, I've got an iPhone where somebody texts. But that's good. They're probably responding to a question I had about composing music, and I'll get to that in a future video. I'm thinking about going into composing music, so I want to compose 80s music, and so I asked somebody, because he's a musician, I asked him basic questions: what's a backbeat, what's a downbeat, and so forth, and how to read a music sheet. Anyway, that's not the purpose of this video. but just in case you're curious. uh, so the hashtags and finding your videos, and I found that I hadn't edited my my default content and my default editing in a long time. When I created my videos way back, I had set them up for categories of mental health and self-reflection, which the channel still is about primarily, but I labeled the category as education, and there's another category called people and blogs. Maybe that's a more appropriate one. Maybe the category of education is throwing me off. Anyway, I created these videos, and then they become defaults. So if you don't go in and to that specific video and alter, it'll default to those settings. So I found I hadn't been doing that in a while, and I should reassess these different settings and keywords put in and so forth. So hopefully that will grow my channel. There's got to be more stuff I'm doing. So I also thought about my voice. You know, when I'm talking to somebody, you may notice it now. Hopefully it's coming across more genuinely. This is the way I normally talk. I'm perhaps a little bit more exuberant when I'm talking to somebody face to face, and I'm trying to figure out how to do that better, because right now I'm looking at an Apple, a Macintosh. Oh, I can't remember the name of the screen, but it's a good size. It's about that big. You can't tell from that how big it is. Something like here. Let me actually just look over here and find about this Mac. Just for people. Now watch, it's not going to come up when I want. Okay, here we go. It's I'm using Mac OS Monterey, and it's version 12.6.3. That's Monterey. 27-inch Retina 5K and it was manufactured late 2015. Processor is 3.2 gigahertz quad-core Intel Core i5, a whole bunch of other stuff. But that gives you a sense of what I'm looking at. Maybe I should put up a picture of somebody, some person I like, I enjoy looking at, or something, some face, and just pretend that I'm talking to that person, because my desktop is pretty clear, and I have this little green dot up at the top for the camera light to show it's on, and I have improved. I used to do these videos, well, I still use Photo Booth, which is the Macintosh application, or overall Apple application for recording videos like this one. And I didn't want to distract myself, because although I think I'm pretty good about it in my earlier videos, I don't think it's really healthy. I don't think I come across as well if I'm looking at myself talking, because there's that little bit of distraction, perhaps, potential of it anyway. So I began moving the preview screen over so I can still see myself, and I save that little bit of a record button visible so that I can quickly click to turn the recording off. But so that's one improvement, and I'm trying to seem more like I come across when I'm talking to somebody. I was looking at my Dramatica video, that one I just uploaded that's 5.5 hours. There's a lot of content in there. And believe me, it's not a lot of ums and ahs and delays. It's more like topic by topic by topic. Each time I finished a certain topic, I'd stop recording and I'd label it part 5, and then I'd start recording part 6, and then I'd finish that, and I'd immediately finish recording and I'd label it part 6. So it's not like I'm and ahhing and whatever through the whole thing. There are some ahs and ums. I'm still working on that. That's the reason I joined Toastmasters, by the way. So I assembled that all together, and I'm also working on that. I had some, this is really with dismay that I say this, but I had 3 charts in PDF form that I plan to insert into this timeline. When you're editing a video, at least with Apple, this is now a plug for Apple products, you create it probably with Photo Booth, and then you import it into something called iMovie, at least I do. And you are given a list of video files, and at the bottom there's a timeline, and you click and drag the imported video in the list of files down into the timeline. And what's great is that you can, excuse me, you can not only assemble the video files in a certain sequence, but you can also add in PDFs and other formats of files. So I took a nice simple periodic table chart of Dramatica, and figured that would come in handy because I'd be talking about the periodic table so many times that I had it in a folder, and I had an example story form from the movie Notting Hill, and I just thought of something as I'm talking about this now. Something I might have been able to do, but it involves more practice. That's why I'm talking about this now. The more I talk, the more thoughts come to mind, the more ideas come to mind. It's like have you ever thought about, taking out the trash, and you go out to take the trash, and then you find, whoops, your kitchen sink is messy, you need to clean that up, and then when doing that, you find your bowls have been resting upside down, they've been wet, and now they're dry, and you need to put them away, and so forth. One leads to the other, and so forth. Well, what I had done in this Dramatica video is, unfortunately, I didn't know how to cut and split the video file. There's probably a way of doing it. I mean, I can't imagine why there isn't one, but after talking for over 5 hours, I just didn't want to bother trying, and I also didn't want to take the risk of deleting a file, even though it was imported from a folder I have of all my original content. I didn't want to mess things up. I didn't want to screw things up because I had the files all imported and then laid out in a nice sequential order, and I didn't want to screw that up. So I didn't want to split up a video file. I didn't know how to do it. I wanted to do it, but I didn't know how to do it, and I didn't want to mess it up. So I took the video files, and I found not the video files, the PDF files, and I found a good spot, and I think I picked a pretty good spot considering I couldn't split any videos up, a good spot to drop it in. So when you're watching, if you watch, and I encourage you to, please do, if you're watching the video, it should come to a point where my video ends, and then it shows, I don't know why iMovie does this, but it can't just show a screenshot, a still screenshot. No, the computer has to move up or down in the PDF file. Maybe there's a way of preventing that. Maybe in iMovie, it would have to be iMovie. Maybe there's a setting or something I could change, so it just shows you the graph. I've seen other YouTube videos where they just have a simple graph or a simple chart or something. I'm guessing they use PDF, but it's a still shot or something, a screenshot or something or other. I'll have to learn how to do that. I'm improving each feature of this thing, but it wouldn't surprise me if I made another video about how to use Dramatica later on, but hopefully I don't plan on making anyone soon for my sake and also for your sake, because you might get confused. It seems redundant to make a long video about that, a long comprehensive video about Dramatica, and then make another one like in 2 months. So, so also public speaking, I've talked about that. I've talked about the growth I want in this channel. I have a ring light that's right here, and so that's improved my lighting. And what else? My background. I want to get more decoration in my background, but that costs money. There are a few things that I simply can't change without money. And I found Throne.com. I found a YouTube video, a YouTuber. Oh man, I'm blanking out. She's Australian, and she has a gaming channel, and she does movie reactions, and I'm completely blanking on her name at the moment. But anyway, I was looking at her channel and for ideas, because it seems like everybody's channel has at least 1,000 views, and like 500 subscribers, or 1 point something thousand subscribers. So anyway, I was looking through her channel, and I noticed that that's when I discovered that she used Throne.com, and she had some of the usual suspects, like she displays a link in her About Me section. That's something I improved on too. I totally rephrased my About Me section about my channel, and she added in the usual suspects like Twitter and YouTube link, and here's my, I don't know what, she has a gaming channel, so there's probably a Twitch account link she includes in there. And there's one for Throne.com, and I went to see, she said something like buy stuff or help me buy stuff. So I went to it, and it seemed to be pretty useful. I thought, of course, naturally I could put in my Amazon items, because I have several different lists in my Amazon account. I have one that's simply for me. There's another list of things called something like already purchased, just so I can simply see what I've already bought and find it quickly and say, oh yeah, I have information on this thing I bought last month, and here it is right here in this list, instead of searching for it. I have another one that's called Home Improvement, and another one I have just for my YouTube account. So I have things like strings of lights. There's a thing you can buy that it's simply strings of lights. I can put that up for decoration. I have posters, so forth. It's tricky because I live in an apartment, as you might tell, and I don't want to attach anything. I don't even want to put tape on the wall, really, if I can help it, because I don't want to damage the walls. I mean, it's sturdy, it's paint, and so forth, but I just don't want to risk it. The ramifications be too great if something got screwed up. So, everything costs money, and I don't know how to. I'm not making very much money, so what I can put my energy into is planning ahead for what could be purchased, and mention, things like this, mentioning that I can improve my channel if I had more money to put into it, and if people donated, I would certainly 100% put all the money into it. I would funnel it all into my bank account. No, I'm kidding. I would funnel it all into putting it into improving the look of this channel. And as much as it seems like begging, it feels like begging for money. It's like a begathon. Other people in other channels do it. And what's that common phrase? Please consider donating. They have Patreon channels, which I have considered doing. I subscribe myself to a couple of other, well, I dropped one, but there's still one Patreon channel that I like. It's called Target Audience, and I found it because they're one of the few, almost the only one, that has been reacting to Star Trek. In fact, I'll go out on a limb and say, to my knowledge, they're the only ones that have reacted to all the original episodes of the original series, and they've done all the episodes. They've reacted to all the episodes of the animated series from the early 1970s, and then they've reacted to Star Trek: The Motion Picture from 1979. And boy, I'm mentioning a whole lot, quite a few YouTube channels, and it's all been the purpose of this video has been about how I can improve my channel. Of course, I'm giving them free advertising. But anyway, it just means a whole lot of links at the bottom, maybe, I don't know, to those other channels. But anyway, they reacted to the first movie in 1970. I mean, the first movie, which came out in 1979, and then Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan came out in 1982. So, and they've just reacted to recently to the 1984 Star Trek, the third movie, The Search for Spock. So they're the only ones to my knowledge, and that's currently the only channel, it's the only Patreon channel, could you call it a channel? Patreon entity that I subscribe to. So that's been a common way that people get donations. I don't know what other way channels get donations, but all I'm saying is that there's a common phrase that people would say if you want to donate to the channel. I can't remember how they would phrase it. If you want to donate to the channel, please consider da 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 da, and I can't remember exactly what the da 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 is, but I don't want to feel like it's a begathon. I don't want to give the impression, primarily, I don't want to give the, I'll gladly take the money and put it into improving this look, but I don't want people to think that I'm begging for money. I don't want people to think that I'm just taking money from them. So, so I've mentioned Toastmasters. I want to improve on eliminating my ahs and ums. I've gotten the lighting perhaps a bit better. I don't know if you can tell that. Let me see. I think that's about it. So I'll stop this video for now. Hope you enjoy. I ought to come up with a common intro and a common closing. This is something I wanted to mention. When I began this channel, it seemed more elaborate. Of course, when I dropped off that other stuff I'm about to mention, I continued improving in other ways. So in some ways, I wouldn't be surprised if the typical channel, the typical video you see on my channel now is a bit better, but I did drop off certain things that were standard when I created this channel, and my earlier videos have largely been privatized because, for several reasons, my life has changed somewhat. So what I talked about in my earlier videos, my very early videos, even though they were, I think they were started around October or fall of last year. I think it was October of last year, 2022. And that's why I've called my, I have a YouTube channel, and you probably don't see this, but I labeled, I have different, they have different lists you can have in YouTube for content, and I have one list that's just for myself of favorites, and then you can create playlists. That's what they're called, playlists. So there's one playlist that's public, and that's the only one, hopefully, that's called Season 1, and I don't think anybody can see it, but I'm explaining it now. I've labeled it season 1 because I wanted to create a season 2 and a season 3, something like the documentaries and TV shows that I would watch. You know, at heart, like the angry video game nerd. You know, he wanted to, as a child, he wanted to make movies and videos and so forth. And then YouTube came along, and he found a niche with his angry video nerd character, and he kind of started doing it and kept doing it and kept doing it. And of course, you know, kudos to him for keeping it up, and certainly helped him. So anyway, I have a playlist that's labeled season 1, and maybe I should change that, because this idea about ending a season in the fall and then beginning a new season about that same time maybe is antiquated for the way, well, considering the way I've been doing these videos. There is no cut and dry season 1, season 2. When I planned this out, I thought far ahead, and I planned to cover these kinds of topics in season 1 and this category of topics in season 2. And fortunately, I didn't plan into season 3 yet, but I thought about like reaction videos to movies, and I thought about I'm still thinking this is perhaps a good idea. Other people do reaction videos to movies that they haven't seen before, first-time reaction videos. As a screenwriter, as an aspiring, you know, I am a screenwriter. I'm not published, but as an as a screenwriter of sorts, and educated in television, film, writing, production. I guess I can call myself one. It's interesting to watch people's reactions to movies for the first time. So anyway, all right, on to the main topic. I thought about doing something different. I thought about using Dramatica and using this first-time reaction format to have myself maybe in a small screen, a corner of the screen, or maybe have it full screen, then shrink down. I wanted to show clips of movies. See, this is probably what perhaps threw me. I wanted to show clips from movies, but I don't want to get flagged. And I don't know how first-time movie reaction videos are able to occur without being flagged. And I know a number of them have been flagged by YouTube for copyright reasons. Well, actually, somebody sends a notice to YouTube about potential copyright infringement, and then YouTube speaks up from there. I don't want to get those things, because once you get into legalities with YouTube, from what I've heard, and infringement and copyright, you're treading on thin ice probably with YouTube. That's one very good reason, well, one of the very good reasons why I keep all my original content when I assemble separate video files. And even just if I do just one video, I will keep that original content. I keep it separate. So in case my YouTube channel just vanishes or YouTube goes out of business, you never know, I still have my original files and I can still assemble them. All right, so one thing I've been doing, these are the things that I've been doing when I began the channel. I would create an episode number, I would create an episode title, and then I would have an intro, a standard intro video file in which I say the common things like, if you enjoy this content, please consider subscribing, and I still stand behind that. If you like these videos, if you like this content, please consider subscribing and liking this video. I certainly made my point about the fact that I need all the liking and support I can get. That helps me enlarge my audience. So I would routinely plunk that intro video at the head of my whatever video, before whatever video I recorded for that episode. I would plunk in an episode title and I would plunk in, it would say season 1, episode something or other, and then I would plunk in. Oh, I also had an intro animation too. It was a very quick thing I created. I just took the sound effect of a jet plane going by, or a plane going by, and I happened to find that there's this animation of something moving by. So I linked the two and just happened to look nice. So I added in the title of the channel, Introspection with Jeff, and so the standard would go a little clip from my individual video for that episode. I would take, a key moment, like a teaser, like Star Trek and a lot of other TV shows would do. They would have a teaser at the beginning, then they would have an opening theme, and then closing credit, and then the video, and then the closing credits. Well, that's how I wanted to format mine. I would stick in a clip from the video I've just filmed, or just recorded, and then I would have the opening video intro, Introspection with Jeff, with the plane sound effect, plane going by sound effect, and then I'd have the season 1, an animated screen saying season 1, episode 25, and the title. Perhaps the title was a separate screen, a separate animation that I would put in afterwards, and then I would have the video, and then I would have closing credits as its own video file, standard video file that I would plunk in. Well, I got lazy, I became lazy, and I just quit doing that. I would simply record the video and upload it, and it's been working for quite a while, through quite a number of videos, but now that I feel more confident, I want to, just looking at the time here, now that I feel more confident, I can reconsider the format, the overall look of my channel, perhaps creating more exciting videos. And I have GarageBand that comes with my Macintosh computer, and perhaps I can create a new theme song myself. That jibes with my plan on creating, my plan on composing music. It's interesting, something about views. My videos are getting, like, if I'm lucky, like 12 views and 11 views, something like that, which is a little bit better, and that's perhaps because I have shortened my ums and ahs, and I make them more concise, and I want to seem more energetic. And here I am looking at my preview some more. I want to look directly at you. And I changed my tags, my keyword tags, so that might boost viewings a little bit. But it's funny, when I was starting off, I would get like 5 views, 2 views for each of my videos, and I did a certain thing. I would do cosplay, and the videos would get like 80 videos for just one, 80 views for just one video, and 60 views for just one video. And I don't want to fall into the habit of just having a cosplay appearance for or identity for the channel, because it's called Introspection with Jeff. I'm Jeff, and I want to be open and genuine with you. So as tempting as that is, and as fun as it is to dress up in cosplay, I don't want to make it a standard thing, because then I would feel like I'd have to dress up and spend all that time in order to do a simple video, and it's much faster to get my thoughts out immediately. So I'm reassessing the way I do these videos, and I'm thinking about how to make them better, and I'm always open to getting comments from you. Please, if you do have comments on how you can, constructive comments on, or at least good criticism put in a positive way on how you can, how you think I can improve this channel, please add them, please comment on this video. Another thing I'd forgotten to mention is that when you go into Toastmasters for public speaking training, they give you a good format for public speeches. You introduce, you say, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and you recognize, every speech they do this, you recognize certain names of prominent people in the group, and then you say ladies and gentlemen or something like that, and then you start off with an introductory sentence about what your topic of the speech is, and then you want to, there's certain techniques to improve the speech. Consider, now I'm giving you these clues. You don't have to join Toastmasters if you don't want to, or spend the money if you don't want to for dues. You think topically. It trains your mind to remember these different topics and try to organize them in a certain order that would help you remember them. You can glance down at your notes, but I think this is something that I learned how to do, or at least I got criticism for. I would glance at my notes too often, and I don't know whether I read from my notes or what, but as I recall, I learned how to remember the sequence of the subtopics that I want to give in my speech much better, and I glanced at my notes hopefully fewer times. And then I give a closing comment or a closure statement to the speech, and to remember to look around. One good thing that I simply picked up, one technique I picked up on my own, is to overcome looking at each individual person. I don't know whether I had stage fright. I may have, not necessarily stage fright, but awkwardness when I was speaking in front of a large crowd of people. Fairly soon, I figured out I will just look at all these faces as one great mass, and then I'm just simply looking at the great mass. I'm not looking at individual faces. One good technique that they teach you in, I think they teach you in Toastmasters, but basically one good technique in public speaking in general is to occasionally glance left and right and so forth. I noticed there was a rabbi of mine that would actually physically walk from one part of the stage to the other. He would stand, he would walk over and stand on the left side of the stage, and he would talk, so forth. And then he would look down as he paced over to the other end of the stage, and he'd talk. And I do say stage because this is a public audience. The congregation was obviously a mass of people, and he is standing on top of a stage and literally, in some sense, performing, giving a speech. So, and when you're giving criticism to a speech, something that I definitely remember was given in Toastmasters is that you start off with a positive comment, and then you give certain criticisms, and then you end with a positive comment, something that they did well. So you sandwich it between two positive comments. You get into the nitty-gritty of how they could improve. And I remember, now that I say that, I remember us having to get up and critique the other person's speech. So that involves public speaking as well. So that about wraps up for now, and I will join you again next time. Next time I have this list of things I want to cover in part 2 of my Dramatica lecture, and that'll probably be my next video. So until then, hope to see you soon. Thanks, and hope you have a good day, and so long. I noticed some things when a few things I noticed when I was looking at the beginning of my video and dragging it off of photo booth into my desktop and then naming it. I wanted to mention, what was I going to mention? One thing was my voice. My voice still seems, this is a really good technique. They say that you should record your voice. It's suggested, people just say, you should record your voice and listen to it if you want to improve public speaking. So my voice still seems rather dry, at least to me. I think it's improved a little bit, but it's funny, I hear myself as being more exuberant than the way I talk, the way I come across from the other end. When I hear myself played back, it doesn't sound the same way as when as while I'm talking. So that's one thing I noticed. Another thing I recognized that I had forgotten to mention is that my thumbnails should be better. And I've been consciously aware of this. I looked into, last year, I looked into how to create thumbnail images, or just thumbnails for YouTube videos. I looked into videos about how to improve one's YouTube channel on YouTube, and I noticed a few things that could be improved. I noticed ring light and so forth, and that's why I got the ring light. I improved my lighting a bit. I got I got this for me anyway, expensive teleprompter that I haven't actually been using. I bought it, and at some point I still want to use it. I don't think it's a waste of money. I just haven't used it yet. I thought about maybe as a makeshift teleprompter. By makeshift, I mean taking my notes application and simply having it run parallel. Let me see if I can do that just right now. I'm opening up my notes application that comes with Apple, and so far it doesn't seem to be, well, we'll see in the recording playback, but it doesn't seem to be slowing my video down. Earlier, that's another thing. Earlier, when I made my first few videos, I was using a different computer. It was from 2012. It was from late 2012, and so I got this one. A friend helped me get this one, and it still seems to be in sync. I'm looking at my preview here, and it still seems to be in sync. And I can't exactly flip this around to show you, but maybe you know what the Notes application looks like. You can simply, it's a small text screen, and you can simply type in things. So maybe I can use that as my notes. Maybe I can just, before going into my, that's perhaps another thing that will help prevent me from saying a lot of times. If I had something to refer to and I'm not just trying to remember it or trying to think of something, what's the next thing I ought to talk about? Maybe I should create, before I do the video, I'm all energized and I'm all ready to talk about some topic. Maybe I should go right to my notes application, write down the different topics, subtopics I want to talk about, and then have that open while I'm doing my video. And maybe that'll be better. So this apparently still works. I don't see any delay in my recording, and I should still work on listening to myself. This is good for you too. I created this channel not just for myself. I created it, it's called Introspection with Jeff. It's not introspection for Jeff. It's introspection with Jeff. In other words, I'm conducting you through a session of introspection so that you could think and perhaps get ideas from what I'm doing. You could perhaps be inspired by what I'm doing, or something, some topic about the universe, some insight into the universe that I'm sharing with you. That's why I called it Introspection with Jeff and not Introspection for Jeff or whatever. And one of these things is listening to your voice. Record it and play it back. And so you can get a perspective on how you come across to other people. And so that's one insight. In those earlier videos I was talking about, when I began this channel, it was all planned out. It was much more planned out, where I didn't want to talk so much about myself. I did an episode, or a couple of different episodes about cults, and I would pick some topic of my life. I was basing it upon a few channels that I had seen, like Boogie2988 and a few other ones, primarily Boogie2988, where he would pick some topic, but he wouldn't. Now that I say this, I remember him delving somewhat into his past, talking about his own life experiences. That's something I didn't plan to do. I planned to engage the audience because I wanted you to have a feeling that you're getting something from me talking, and it's not just me talking about myself over and over and over. I was very conscious of that when I created this channel. I wanted to deliver something so that, for if nothing else, for the sake of people coming back and feeling like, people coming back because they felt like they had gotten something from my video. So I still think that I have content to create, and content that's worthwhile for you to watch and gain insight from. But over some time, I started, in cloaked terms, I started talking about my own life experiences, and that got me into hectic circumstances. So I backed away from that, even though I was using, referring to people in cloaked terms and so forth. I didn't know, because I guess I'm a very open person. I also regard myself as somewhat diplomatic. I'm a Scorpio, the zodiac. I was born in November. So from what I've read, they tend to be diplomatic. I want to develop, develop isn't the right word. I want to strengthen that ability to filter myself better. I'm guessing, I'm suggesting that I went through a long period of like 30 years where I tried to come across more openly because for whatever various reasons, I hadn't been so forthcoming with all of my personal life. I wanted to come across more genuinely, even though in general, all my life, I was a genuine and have been a pretty genuine and sincere person. I wanted to emphasize something happened 30 years back that perhaps encouraged me to emphasize that, to let people know that I'm being honest and open. And maybe now I'm reassessing it, and I shouldn't be as quick to be so open. So anyway, being so open got me in trouble. So I closed off, and that's the primary reason why I privatized those videos. The other reason being that I haven't publicized some of those videos because I don't think that they're necessarily. I haven't gone through them to reassess them. I'm just presuming right now, for the time being, I've moved on and they're perhaps antiquated. So it's like a buried vault, and I haven't gone back to the vault to assess whether they certain videos should be publicized, and there's no problem with publicizing these videos and not others and so forth. I just consider now that whole period to be a vault, and I've progressed in my life, and I'm doing these other videos, and I can do videos on topics that are now updated. So maybe there's little point in going blah blah blah. You get the drift. So okay, so now I will leave you with the thought that I'm going to primarily work on getting my thumbnail, my graphic thumbnail technique, my routine figured out, how to do it cheaply without having to spend any money. And that's one thing that tripped me. I forget exactly how. I went through and I found it pretty easy, and then something tripped me up. And that's why it wasn't laziness. It was you needed some software. I think it was this. I think I watched the how-to video, and of course, you know, these how-to videos, they say, oh, it's just a step forward thing, step, 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 and you can create one in 30 seconds, and so forth. And then you watch it, and then well, that's what happened here. He said, well, then you go into this website, and for $3.95 subscription fee or something. And when I noticed that, I said, no, forget it. It's fine. It looks easy, but no, I'm not going to pay money for thumbnails. So I'll go back and look through how to create these thumbnails. That should garner more attention. The hashtags / keywords ought to be better. That ought to help. And I'll learn how to compose music, because I really do want to learn how to do music composition, and that ties in with my cosplay. And I guess that's it. I'll just keep looking at my voice. I'll use the notes to refer to while I'm talking, so I don't say any ums and ahs. And I'll leave you with that, and hope you have a good day, and so long for now.